Hello guys, welcome to iTutor Academy. In today's session, we will start with the Unit 10, that is subsession 10.8, some issues in training. So, improvement of training in organizations requires paying attention to some critical dimensions. The role of training for development of people and organization has been discussed separately in detail, including pre-training work, curriculum development, selection of methods, building a training establishment, and post-training support and follow-up. And however, a few important dimensions which required special attention in organization are discussed here. First is learning. The main function of training is to facilitate learning. The most effective learning is self initiated and self managed training. Training should help in developing a culture of self managed learning. In general, learning by discovery is more internalized and is longer lasting than didactic and learning from others. Below are suggested 15 different conditions to make learning effective. For this purpose, learning has been defined as the process of acquiring, assimilating, and internalizing cognitive and motor of behavior inputs for their effective and varied use when required, and leading to enhanced capability of further self-monitored learning. The first one is authentic and open system of training institution or the place of learning, and non-threatening climate, challenging learning task, collaborative arrangement for mutual support of learners, organization of graduated experience of challenging success, mechanism for supportive and quick feedback, opportunities to practice the skills learned, and opportunity to apply learning, opportunities for the encouragement to self learning, opportunities for the support of experimentation, and emphasis on learning through discovery, indirect and liberating influence by trainer, teacher, through minimum guidance, and trainers teachers human values and faith in man. Trainers teaches high expectations from learners and openness to examine all needs, and trainers teachers competence. And next is pre-training work. Unless attention is paid to the following pre-training work, training cannot succeed in developing people, groups, and organizations. Proper identification of training needs, developing a strategy of development of people through training, including the rationale and criteria of who should be sent for training, how many at a time and in what sequence, in process of helping people to volunteer, and the departments of ask for training, pre-training workshop in some cases to raise the level of motivation of participants and finalize the curriculum, building expectations of prospective participants from training, etc. And next is post training work. Equally important is what is done after the training is over. The training section needs to help the concerned managers to plan to utilize the participants' training and provide the needed support to them. And post training work helps in building linkage between the training section and the line department. Follow up work by the training section is critical. And next is expanding the training concept. The concept of training has to be widened, and training should include not only programs involving face to face classroom work but should also include other ways of providing information and giving necessary skills to people in an organization. And next is preparation of training material. There is a great need to develop more training material. Unfortunately, most of the training programs use only the lecture method, while the lecture method itself needs improvement through use of small group discussion, etc. New training material need to be developed. These will include simulations, exercise and games, role plays, cases and materials, case and incidents, practical work manual, test and instruments, and self instruction material. Preparation of such a material involves large investment of money, time, and energy, but it is still worthwhile and will have much higher payoff than the cost of the investment. In some cases, an organization can get help from outside experts in the preparation of such a material, especially simulation, exercise and games, role plays, cases and self-instructional material. And next one is making training as a strategic function. Turnaround in thinking on training is already evident that it must move from periphery to the center, from being a service function to partnership in the main task of the organization. In a recent study of HR re engineering at 34 large US companies, 69% respondents mentioned repositioning of HR as a strategic business partners with the management as a re engineering goal. The same is true of training. The training is concerned with increasing organizational effectiveness. So far, the approach of training has been to offer organized training for specific competencies. The movement is in the direction of training becoming more proactive and contribute to strategic thinking of the organization. This swing is sometimes seen as abandoning the previous position and taking a new one. Repositioning does not mean taking an either or position. Repositioning involves expanding the role and emphasizing the strategic role of training. While the strategic role is important, the other role are not to be neglected. The training should attend both to the current as well as the future needs. So here is one box and training models are there. The perspective and the content is there. One process and operational and strategic process of training is mentioned in this box. You can go through your material. All the four modes of training are important. However, increasingly training must move towards transformational and strategic roles. So here is training modes in detail, and there is focus, objective, posture are there. Focus, objective, posture are there in two process. One is content and one is process. And training current role and their team synergy are there. All modes are discussed in this box. You just go through the material. And training role, training system should develop needed competencies for various role occupants. The emphasis is on making the current role in the organization more effective by equipping people occupying these roles with the needed competencies. And research role, in order to move in the strategic direction, trainers need to research what competencies are needed and will be needed in the organization. Training then assumes two more functions: searching future competencies and developing them. Since the narrow boundaries of roles are breaking down, a person should develop flexibility to perform various roles. And consulting role, greater emphasis on organizational effectiveness rather than only on individual role effectiveness will require more group process orientation of trainers. Development of effective team influence both the effectiveness of the individual team members as well as organizational effectiveness. And change management role, this is the real strategic partnership role. The focus of training is to develop leadership at all levels in the organization. The ability of strategic thinking, taking responsibility, creativity to find alternative solution and empowering others. And translating business strategy into training terms. Successful implementation of the business strategy of an organization will require some competencies. Business strategy indicate the broad direction for the future movement of an organization and preferred ways of doing so. For successful implementation, the organizational tasks must be translated into various functional terms: marketing, financial, technology, human resource, training, etc. This helps to make strategy formulation and implementation participative. The overall organizational or business strategy should provide the framework for developing the training strategy to facilitate effective implementation of the strategy. It will include detailed approach to the adopted competencies to be developed. And a training strategy thus prepared may be reviewed by all the functional leaders, preparing the strategy which must be integrated into the main strategy for better synergy. And working more closely with the line managers. People dealing with the training should work more closely with the line people. They are already working with the line people in the areas of coaching, counseling, training, strategy planning for the department, etc. When cross functional task force and implementation teams are set up, training people should join these, and similarly when teams are set up to discuss training issues, etc., line people should be invited as members. Such a close working together may help in integrating training with the various business groups and making training a strategic partners. And here is making training strategy partners. Exhibit 4 is here, and the vice president responsible for the training function should be actively involved in formulating corporate strategy to ensure that strategic goals are realistic ambition with respect to the reservoir of skills that will be available to meet them, and the training function will be able to help top management communicate corporate strategy throughout the organization and to help managers translate the strategy into training needs. And next is the vice president for the training function should ensure that all the training programs are necessary to corporate strategy are recommended the managers whose employee are to be trained, and help the trainees progress along the career path jointly set by them and their managers. The effectiveness of a program should be measured by how fully and how durably the trainees have mastered the subject matter. And the most controversial and potential, the largest factor in measuring the cost of a program is whether the trainees' time spent in training should be considered a cost. And when an employer invites an employee to be trained, it should ensure that the employee become fully acquainted as early as possible with the new position, work unit, and supervisor, whether the position is within or outside the frame. Such a acquaintance and maximize the trainee's ability to learn and to apply the new skill. And exhibit 5 also there, aligning trainee strategy with the corporate strategy. You just go through your material for this 8 9 and 10 points are there. And exhibit 6 says that ways of enhancing the training function, and the role of training function would be enhanced if trainers developed their own clear model of the role in their own organization and communicated in accordingly, and participated in appropriate network to keep abreast of the debate on the changing nature of the function. And academics and business school and consultant and government are there. And exhibit 7 is discussing the aligning training with the technology strategy, and there are also some points are there, around 8 points are there in exhibit 7. You just go through the material. And exhibit 8 discussing the aligning training with the financial strategy also. So there is also 6 7 points are there. Okay, you just go through the material and read fully the exhibits. And this is about today's session. If you have any doubt, you can contact on our number also, or otherwise comment it on our comment box. Thank you so much.